Welcome, everyone, to Around the ACL. Michelle Thompson here with Trey Ryder and Anthony Ione. And today we're going to be talking about Open number 3, kicking off in Little Rock, Arkansas, or Arkansas, as our live stream team likes to call it. And we're going to be talking about Trey and Anthony's power rankings, do some buy or sell, and it'll be a fun show. Trey, what have you been up to?
Shocker. I was in Orlando this past weekend. So
it is shocking. Hey, we didn't do the over-under on Disney Trip this year. I feel like we missed that one. We'll have to do it for next year.
Depending on what the over-under would have been, I would have been a little bit more realistic about it this year. But no, it was good. I said they should just make us tour guides now. So we just like we took you and Nick and Rome around. We kind of did this same exact thing with Jenna from our team and her husband Jeremy. So Jenna and Jeremy got the Ryder Disney experience. So it was plenty of fun, a lot of walking, and it was a good time. So we loved it, and back to business here this week. So
you could charge for that. I mean, that is a service. Like, you definitely create, like, just not having to think about it, even like you lining up the rides, like all of that is worth so much. Like, you made it so much easier than Nick and I when we went by ourselves and we were zigzagging all over the place and it was so inefficient. So
yeah, the Sherpa, as they call me, just leading people around. So
exactly.
It was good. It was good. Yeah, we're getting good at it now, and we know all the good food and drinks now. So Epcot Food and Wine Festival was efficient and good. Yeah,
that was fun. All right, Anthony, what about you? What you been up to?
Oh, a lot of basketball with little man. So we're transitioning from the AAU circuit into high school. So everything's about to shut down here in Colorado for club or AAU basketball. So they're overlapping just a bit. So we just had our league championship this weekend. So little man squad got the dub.
Yay.
Yeah, they're an all freshman team, all 14-year-olds playing in a JV varsity level. So, we're going up against 17-year-old men, and we took that one down. It was cool because we went 6-2 in the season, and our 2 losses we ran into in the semifinal and then the final. So we had to get a little get back on those to take down the ship. But yeah, just 7 days a week, guys, just preparing for high school, and little guys on that. He's going for that D1 level deal. So he's gonna grind for the next 3 years. We'll see what happens.
That is the grind for sure. Rum's really into soccer this year more than he ever has been before. And I'm like, oh my God, is he going to want to do club soccer? That's like a full-time commitment that I don't know if I want to do, but he made us all watch the MLS game on Friday. He loves Messi. It was Messi's game. And then he's asking me every day when the next game is. He's fully in on soccer. His exact words were, "Hey, Mom, I want to watch soccer the way you and Dad watch football." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So
okay,
you want to watch professional soccer? Let me find out. I don't even know when the season is.
On your own.
So we had a couple friends over, and we all watched soccer with Rome, and he sat there and watched the entire game. He was fully into it. So it was cute. Won't watch cornhole though. Yeah, won't watch the cornhole.
None of
that. But I'm on it. He doesn't care. It's like whatever. Let's get into it. I won't be on it this week. It's going to be Jake and Wally and Corey running it there from Little Rock. And Trey, who are you looking at?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think so. Open number 1, a large attendance, a lot of people there, a lot of pros there. Open number 2. It seemed like a lot of the pros were in one particular location, and that happened to be the wedding of Mark Richards. So I think so. We saw a lot of these younger players kind of dominate open number 2, and open number 3, just from a general perspective, kind of seems like a lot of those people that weren't able to go to open number 2 now showing up and saying, okay, it's going to be a clash of those that were successful at open number 2 versus those that couldn't make it. So I look at the list, I see some names that had some success at open number 2, people like Orion Trader, Mason Trader, Cash Chamness, a number of players that made deep runs at those events. But then I'm seeing this influx of players that in particular are looking to kind of pick up where they left off last season. So I look at names like Tony Smith and Mark Richards. I'm looking at names like Trey Birchfield and Adam Hissner. And I know we're going to talk about our power rankings later, but like this is going to be kind of my tipping point where right now in my current power rankings, I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt of what they did last season, kind of for the last time. Once we kind of get through this third open, you got to continue to show me that you're building in that towards that general direction and you're having some consistency across the new seasons before I start dropping you down off the list, right? There are players that have had more successful starts to the season that are going to deserve to remain near the top. So I think a lot of eyes will be on Ryan Trader. He obviously comes out and he sweeps singles and doubles from this past event. He's got to see if he can be able to replicate some level of consistency and have some sustained success. Although I think it would be more surprising if I don't see that from him. The one thing here about Trader is this is early in the year, and early in the year at these open events, the past 2 seasons, he has shown that he can succeed at a really high level. So I'm actually not too much worried about a level of play from Trader. I'm actually expecting a high level of play. More of what I'm looking for is really, I would qualify some as like some of these big 4 players in Smith, Richards, Hissner, and Birchfield, right? Birchfield and Hissner last season, when you look at what their record was across a lot of open events, they were pure domination. And of course, they go on to win the world championships. Trey Birchfield sweeps that. The question is, what type of hangover are we going to see, right? I don't think anybody on this call is going to doubt forever into the future the abilities of Trey Birchfield and Adam Hissner, right? And I don't think they even care where they show up on my personal power rankings list, right? They just know when the lights are bright, it's time for them to show up. Is there going to be a little bit of a hangover over these next 3 or 4 months before we get into the signature events that take place in the spring for Birchfield and Hissner, or do they continue to get a win here and there? This is not a team that I need to see win every single event. It's a team that I just need to at least look sharp by the time that we get into the big signature events in the spring. Mark Richards, for me, is more under scrutiny right now of what I'm expecting from him. Mark Richards is unfortunately in a position for me right now where I don't think I have an expectation for Mark Richards to be a top 10 player next year. And that should be borderline shocking to him. And if you had talked to me or anybody else on this show right now 2 years ago that I would be even entertaining that conversation, I think we'd all be pretty shocked, right? He was displaying a level of consistency that we had never really seen before in the sport. So I would say ultimately I'm looking for Mark Richards. Mark, are you a top 40 player this year and there's nothing wrong with that? Or are you a top 10 player again? Are you going to be competing as a possible world champion, as a signature winner, as a title winner, and getting back into the conversation as one of the winningest players of all time? This could just be a lull in his play and he's back at it, or it could be a trend that we see across the rest of his career. Time will tell, and this is an opportunity for him to kind of put out some of those worries and those qualms that I know a lot of people may have. Other players, another opportunity to see Devin Harbaugh. He already has an open win so far this season. Seeing Devin Harbaugh compete, anytime we talk about open events, he should be number 1 or number 2 on the odds chart, in my opinion, right? I mean, this is someone that at the open level has shown to be one of the most successful players of all time. So I expect him to have a lot of success. And maybe one other, pair of players I'm looking at, Gavin Cano and Sammy Soto. I think we've seen Sammy Soto build a lot of momentum recently over the past few months. On the other side of it, I think we've seen Gavin Cano drop some of that performance over the past few months. We were talking about Gavin Cano in the spring as an MVP candidate. I don't think anybody else would be shocked on here to say that I don't consider Gavin Cano an MVP candidate right now, just someone that's a very good player. But with Soto, if he can kind of rekindle some of that spring magic, this could be a team that when we talk about power rankings could be 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? I think where they are right now is a really solid team, a top 10 team that people are don't want to play, but they'll control what their ultimate ceiling is. And this could be another event for them to kind of see if they can come in and win it.
Anthony, who are you looking at?
Yeah, you opened up with kind of talking about some of those players we didn't see at the last Open in the field. Just wanted to talk about who we're not going to get. And I think it's important to kind of, each time we go through these Opens, we realize or kind of keep in the back of our mind what format we're dealing with. So we're going to get that classic format this time, that 221 format, whereas at Open number 1, for example, we had the shootout format. So not in the field. Kingsbury and Rawls, I really wanted to see them, high on my power rankings. I continue to want to see these top 10 teams always show up in the Opens. We're not going to get them. Graham Trzynski, this one was important for me because we do have the classic scoring in this one. Whereas at the first one, it was that shootout format. I think you're always going to see who the best teams are in that classic format, the 221. I really wanted to see how this new team was going to compete going to 21, doing pretty good at the first Open in the shootout format, but really wanted to see that classic format. Holland and Rawls continue to dominate. We're not going to get them. Ellis and Harbaugh, obviously, we're going to be thinking of them as a top 1-2 team. Didn't get the results they wanted at Open number 1, could come in here into this classic style format. We're not going to get them. We're not going to get Ruben Trader. We're not going to get a team like Davis Sorrells. Those were kind of some of the big ones that I really wanted to see as we move along here through the Opens. But who are we going to get? And I'm going to kind of categorize these as, where are you at? Where are you at are these teams that I'm really kind of looking at. Not necessarily are you a top 1 or 2 team, but maybe in some cases it's just, are you going to be a top 15 team, or are you on a comeback where previously you were, you had a rough season where you were dominant at some point. So one of those for me, Riker Wells and Landon Crabtree, I think having some recent success. I don't really know where they're at. Riker Wells, is he getting carried in doubles by a strong guy like Almanza or a Crew Cup out in Cali? If he can have a strong run here with the Landon Crabtree, who's kind of in that same boat, he's always playing with A-type players. How do those guys, maybe BB-type players, come together and compete? And I think it'll show also in singles. Where are you guys at? Matt Guy and Brett Guy, a team that was dominant at one point in this game. Where are you guys at here in the 2025 season? Can they come out and win a bracket? Do they still have the ability to take down an entire Open? We just don't know. Where are you guys at? Gary Bearpaw and Matthew Creek-Killer, I think there's a lot of question marks around these guys too. Where are you at, Gary Bearpaw, from your style of play? Matthew Creek-Killer, are you a guy that can come back and be a top 10 player like you were at one point? I see the guy grinding a lot on social media. He has all the shots. Where are you at right now in this game? Nico Morellis and Ryan Windsor, I think an interesting partnership this year. I actually liked it when I saw it. I thought it was an opportunity for Morellis to have a consistent partner, which he really hasn't had over multiple seasons, a guy that is committed to this game. I think the two of them can do well. Where are you at? Are you the type of team that could win a bracket, or are you always just going to be top 3, top 4, right outside of a bracket win? So that's another one for me. Where are you at? Yours to win is my next category. And Trey, I think this fed into some of what you were saying. We expect these guys to come out and win this one. I mentioned we're not going to get Ellis and Harbaugh or Ruben and Trader, but we're going to get a little mix. Ryan Trader with Devin Harbaugh sounds absolutely ridiculous. Yours to win it. Go out and win that one. Kano Sammy Soto in that bucket for me. Logan Chamberlain, Justin Burton Jr., I think need a win. Go out and win it. Trey, I think it was last week you were talking about one time I put you on my hot take to win it. Just go out and win it one time. I think they need a win to show that they're still, yes, top 10, but are you a top 5 team? I think you need to go out and win that thing. Trey Birchfield, Adam Hissner, obviously, Tony Smith, Mark Richards on that list for yours to win. The last one for me, Meech, was go win this. Maybe you're not a favorite, but you have the ability to go win it, or you did at one point in your career. Alex Hicks and Caleb Batson, go win this thing. At one point in their career, Caleb Batson, we're talking about best doubles team in the league, top 5 in singles. Alex Hicks, we know, has been a killer in the Opens, a guy that's gone out and won 3 Open singles in one season. Go win this thing. I think they have the ability to do it. Ethan Walker, Cody Henderson fall in that category for me now. Go win it. Steven Bernasette and Philip Lopez, how many second places or how many bracket wins are we going to have where you don't finish? These guys have the ability to win it. Go win this. How about you? What do you think about this one, Trey? Do you think a Cash Chamness and a Mason Trader could be in a category go win this yet? What do you think?
So, I mean, they were definitely in the conversation at the last event. I think I'm going to say no at this very moment going into open number 3, given the level of talent that we're getting ready to see. However, I'm cautiously aware of the fact that I could be made to look very dumb in that particular opinion. So I'm more so saying you still got to show me. I'm still in show me mode. You got to showcase that level of talent against the best in the world on a consistent basis, and there's more of an opportunity to do that. So for now, still show me, and I wouldn't. But if you put him there, I'm not going to judge you for it.
Right. I feel you. Just to close it up on singles, kind of the same idea. Tyler Cobb, guys, this guy has improved his pitch significantly. Actually, I think it's one of my favorite pitches right now in the league. When we talk about the robot back in the day, or like an Isidro where he's just got all of this calm base, Tyler Cobb has really fixed his pitch. A guy that was kind of like a you kind of come behind the back, where he would show the bag to the back and then have to come back around. He's cleaned all that up. Everything from the waist down is almost static. I mean, you're talking all upper body. It's very repetitive. I'm looking closely at Tyler Cobb here in singles specifically. Not like he's going to go win it, but is Tyler Cobb maybe now a threat to go back to like a top 50 where we've seen him struggle just to say inside of a top 100? Jacob Foreman. What do we got here? He's back. He's back into the league. Where are you at? I'm going to be looking at him closely in singles. Gary Pearpaw, obviously looking at this one, a guy that was highly regarded out of the draft. I've been that advocate of that style of game just isn't successful anymore. So obviously in a 221 format, the classic format, I'm really going to be looking at Gary Pearpaw this weekend to see how he performs against that new style game. Where are you at? And then go get this from a singles. Matt Guy, go win this. And it kind of falls into the category of Gary Bearpaw. I still think Matt Guy has the ability to win tournaments. It's just this, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks things. Does he come out in the 2025 season and maybe start back blocking or pushing through level ones a little bit more? Pull back off the airmail a little bit. Gavin Cano due for a win. You talked about him. Sammy Soto, go win this. I think that he has the ability to come down and take down a singles event with some of these big hitters in there. Smaller field. I think this is good opportunity for Sammy Soto to push through, as well as a Ryan Wiedenfield. Is a 2025 Ryan Wiedenfield less aggressive now? We know he's absolutely a killer in doubles because he's got Ryan Smith on the other side controlling that play a little bit. I'd like to see him bring his doubles game to singles a little bit and see if he can take down a tournament. So just some thoughts on singles there, Mish.
All right, awesome. We will get into your power rankings in just a moment. But before we do, just a quick update on what's going on with ACL Academy. This month was probably one of my favorites. We had Matt Wilson. And if you guys haven't checked out Matt Wilson's video, he's so good at explaining what all the ins and outs of cornhole. And he specifically broke down a flat bag, all the reasons why it might kick, might go right, go left, everything. So it was a really phenomenal job that he did. And then we had, all right, sorry. Really good timing for my dog to kill my pitch. All right, so going into the mindset, we had David Kitchen, who is a sports psychologist, and he broke down the pre-shot routine. And he went all the way from, what the major athletes do beginning of the day to prepare for the tournament versus right before each shot. So he did a fantastic job breaking all that down. Coming up the rest of the year, we've got Quinn Reeves next month. He's going to teach partner dynamics. Corey Gilbert's going to do mastering the push shot. And then we have some other mental sports psychologist type people. We're going to do a practice for optimal performance on the mental side, and then foundations of peak performance. And then coming up in January, Jay Rubin's going to come on, and we got some more sports psychologists coming on. So it's just been really awesome to have people in ACL Academy learning, growing, getting better, which of course you can find out more and sign up at academyacl.com.
Quick, Mish, give me real quick. There might be some people that just hearing about ACL Academy. Like, is this Is this something like I'm just getting into the game I should be doing? If let's say I'm maybe a mid-level advanced player, is this a better fit for me? Like who's going to be better fits for these type of opportunities and classes?
Yeah, we've really kind of had everyone. I was surprised to see all levels that are coming to ACL Academy. So we've had more of, intermediate competitive players, which is kind of where I'd categorize myself. So from my perspective, I'm still learning so much. And even when Trip Baker comes on to teach the roll shot, am I going to learn the roll shot right now at my level? No, but it's there in the archives that I can go access and learn when I am getting my PPR high enough to validate learning a new shot. So I think it's good for them, but it's also great for the advanced and even elite and pro players because we're getting into the nitty gritty of the mental side of the game and breaking down mechanics. So I think it really does cover all levels of players. And of course, you can pick through the archives to find things that are more geared towards exactly where you are. I did a training on how to just have fun playing cornhole because that was a question that kept coming up. People are like, I don't know how to just have fun. Like I treat even a switch on a Wednesday night like it's the freaking pro event of the year, So like learning how to just have fun. You'll hear players like Jeremiah Ellis talk about how his week local tournaments are fun for him. That's not where he's taking it super serious. That's where he's letting loose. And I think it's important to have both. So I did a whole training on that because I know that's a struggle for so many people.
Love
And
it.
you guys did training. So Trey and Anthony came on and did training. So
a lot of fun.
All kinds of good stuff and so much more coming in 2025. I actually am meeting with, I think, 3 or 4 sports psychologists coming up just in the next couple of weeks to plan for next year. I think that they have so much value to bring from other sports and they're so passionate about what they do. So yes, this game is mental, so we got to understand it. And it's not talked about that much in cornhole like other sports like golf and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Michelle just kept hitting the nerd alert button every time that me and Anthony started talking. So you just listen over that nerd alert button.
Yeah, and I didn't know Matt Wilson's background was in engineering as well, so he was right there with you guys.
Yeah.
In that. I don't want to say shocking because I feel like it's almost insulting, but Steve Schrader, I mean, he broke down the like physics of cornhole in a way that I never expected from him. It was so cool.
Nice.
And he was so nervous, and he did phenomenal. So it's fun to see these pros take the spotlight in the teacher role. They're really thriving there. Devin Harbaugh, of course, taught in the past and all sorts of good stuff. All right, let's move into our power rankings. Trey, we will start with you. Take us through it.
All right, my doubles power rankings. We released my top 5 on social media going into the second open event, and I have some changes. My top 3 are going to remain exactly the same, but starting at number 1, I have Trey Birchfield and Adam Hissner. I just said that I'm leaving them there. They could finish last place at open number 1 and open number 2, and they deserve to be number 1. They just won the World Championships, one of the most dominating seasons ever. I can't put them up there with Grindersleeve and Batson from the year before, but still a fantastic season. And they also won in Europe. So I've seen them play at a really high level. I'm not worried about them in any way, shape, or form. They deserve to be number 1 right now. And as time goes, if they don't keep finishing at a high level, then we can kick them off the number 1 spot at the pedestal. Number 2, also unchanged for me, Chris Kingsbury and Alan Rawls. This is a team that finished second at the World Championships in doubles. They then followed that up by winning the first open of the year and not traveling to open number 2. So in the past 2 events, 2 large pro events with some of the best talent in the world, they finished second and they finished first. And they've spread it off 2 different format types. They've done it at the shootout level. They've done it at the classic level. For me, that earns enough street cred for me to be able to keep them there at number 2, and they should continue to roll based on their performance. Number 3 is unchanged as well. This is one of those teams that I am putting a little bit on the bubble for possibly dropping down. They wouldn't fall out of my top 10, but if I look at teams that are having early success in the season, this is one that I think could make a move up into this number 3 spot, but that's Alex Rawls and Derek Holland. A team that was a top 5 team throughout the entirety of last season, one that is ultra consistent. I mean, when we talk about Holland, I've personally witnessed Derek Holland throw 50 some odd bags in a row in the hole at some of these regionals. Alex Rawls, we know, is always going to be there. This is a team that If they drop, it's just because maybe they're a little bit bored until we get to the major signature events that happen in the spring 2025. But when we look about their performance, if this isn't a top 5 team in 2025, then I think that's a disappointment based on their talent level. This is where the changes begin. Number 4, I am putting Ryan Trader and Jason Rubin. Jay Rubin, I didn't expect to have the type of success that he has, but for him to come in and win a pro event in his second game back, he's only going to get better as the season goes on. Trader, I thought, would have a fall off based on his change in technique. I haven't seen that. So because of that, I kind of have to assume that I'm getting the same Ryan Trader that I got previously last year, which was mostly a top 5 player until like the last event of the season he fell out of it. So I have Ryan Trader and Jay Rubin winners of that second Open of the year all the way up to number 4. Jumping up a little bit to number 5 is Sammy Soto and Gavin Cano. They make a small jump up. They, admittedly jump a team like Smith and Richards, who I previously had at that spot, mostly because they've been consistent at the start of this year. They haven't won an event, but they've been very close to doing so. It wouldn't surprise me if they come out and win an event this weekend. They're a talented team. They're a shot-making team. They can hit every shot in the book, and they play with laser focus, and someone that I'm really interested in expecting to have a really successful season. Dropping down at that number 6, I do have Smith and Richards. This is simply because I just haven't seen him yet in Opens 1 and Open number 2. If you go back to the World Championships, I didn't have him. They weren't preparing that well either. This was a team that finished number 1 tied in the rankings across the regular season. So they're getting a little bit of credit here from that. But a team that I need to start seeing have a strong performance, and this is a really good opportunity to do so. I talked about the field that all eyes were on Birchfield and Hisner just because they're fantastic, but I think there's a little bit of pressure on Smith and Richards to at least have a top 4 finish. They can keep that 6th ranking or go up. If I see a top 4, top 5 finish among this field, I think it's a strong enough field in order to flex a little bit and have one to boost that ranking. Jumping down to number 7, I have Devin Harbaugh and Jeremiah Ellis. I think, admittedly, this is a team that I have currently underrated, but they haven't done anything yet for me to justify moving them up above that 7 spot. I'm going mostly on notoriety here, mostly on I think this team is going to be really good. And that's a little bit of cheating. Anthony hates that logic as far as power rankings go, but this is my power rankings, and I can do what I want. So I have them at number 7 right now, simply because that's where I think their worst finish can be right now. They won't finish worse than 7 across the standings this year. And if they do, it is an epic failure across all proportions, because they're just not as bad as a 7th ranked team in the world, but they haven't done anything yet. So they need to go do something for them to jump up in those rankings. Number 8, I have Logan Chamberlain and Justin Burton Jr. Hold on my internet here for a second here. I still think this is a team that's underperforming right now. Like, get it together. You're better than what you're doing right now. You should be winning events. Go win an event, right? I'm going to start getting real petty and just moving them out of the top 10 if they don't go win something soon. They're not a team that's outside the top 10. They are a top 10 team in the world. They should be a top 5 team in the world. They just need to stop messing around and go win something. Number 9, dropping down a little bit, I have Jamie Graham and Jacob Trzynski, mostly because I just had some movement up there. I still think this is a top 10 team. They had some good success, not great success at the first Open. I think this will be a duo that will have a really, really strong year. But they're just going to kind of hold in the bottom half of the top 10 for me, at least for a little bit. If they don't go to events or if they start finishing poorly, I could see them moving outside of the top 10. On the other side of it, they could do really well, and it's a quick move for me. If they go out and win an event here in a couple of weeks, I don't think they were registered for this weekend. Maybe they were, but if they're not registered for this weekend, I'm not going to drop them way out because they weren't showing up. But if they win something, they could easily jump into my top 5. And then number 10, I'm copying the number 10 from Anthony's rankings going into the first event. I'm moving Cody Henderson and Ethan Walker into my top 10. I didn't have them in my top 10 prior to this event. They kind of replace someone like a Philip Lopez and a Steven Bernasset, who are going to sit just outside of my top 10. And really, it's just going to be on who's doing really well at that current time. Right now, Henderson and Walker had a great Open number 2. If they continue it, they'll stay in that top 10. If they don't finish as well, then someone like a Bernasset and Lopez, I could easily see sneak into that top 10. But there are my top 10 power rankings.
Well, I'm so glad you put Jay Rubin and Ryan Trader in, because Jay Rubin gave Wally and I so much grief. How come you didn't put me? I'm like, it wasn't our rankings. So like we got cleaned out for you guys. So there you go, Jay. You're in it now. All right, Anthony, what do you got?
Of course, me and Trey have all the same top 10s. We don't get to see each other's stuff coming in. And actually, I made some tweaks from our last top 5 based on the results. So it's crazy that we actually have the same top 10. Obviously,
same
we
exact
have
top 10.
Not in order, but we share
like
all the same.
Yeah, the same 10.
Yeah,
That's cool. I don't think we've done that before.
Yeah, we're always pretty close. I don't know if we've actually got all 10. Hey, we're really close on my number 1. I'm going to give consistency to this team. Back-to-back top 10 seasons. They were the open number 1 champs, going through a Steven Bernasset and a Lopez, who were a top 8 team last season. And then, of course, like Trey was saying, those guys performed at Worlds, made it to the championship match. They were up 18-14 against Birchfield and Rawls, 1 shot away from being world champs. And I know after the match, when they're sitting there thinking about what just happened, they were thinking about that shot. That is how close Kingsbury and Rawls were being to world champs. I have them at number 1. Trey, you had them at number 2. So we were really close on that one. I went to Gavin Cano and Sammy Soto. For me, it's really about how good these guys check all the boxes when you look at doubles teams. Obviously, you need some type of chemistry as a partnership. These guys play together frequently. They're close to each other regionally. I see them practicing all the time. They're good buddies. You've got the bag chemistry. They're throwing the exact same bag, and I think that's important when you talk about some of the other teams like an Ellis and a Harball. Obviously, they're both top 10 player or top 15 to 20 singles players, top 10 potential as doubles. So you've got the AA style matchup, but as you kind of go down all the boxes, they check them for me. And they had a good turnout at open number 1, losing only to the champs, Kingsbury and Rawls. So I have them at number 2. I think they're going to be super successful. This is probably our biggest gap. My 3 was your 9. I kind of moved Jamie Graham and Jacob Straczynski way high up the list there. This new team just feels really good to me. They took 3rd in their bracket at open number 1. I almost moved them down the list when I didn't see them on the register for this open number 3. Like you were saying, Trey, if we don't see these guys very often showing up to opens, to me, it kind of it's not good. I kind of want to move them down. They're not building like we're a Cano and a Soto. Know what they're going to do in every single shot scenario. Graham and Straczynski still need to build that between the 2 of them. So I'm number 3 felt good until I saw the register, but I think they're going to be super successful. Number 4 was your number 3. We're really close on this one. Derek Holland and Alex Rawls, Alex Rawls. They had an open number 1 bracket win, noting they beat Ellis and Harball in their bracket. They beat Richards and Smith in their bracket. So they're still beating top doubles teams. This is why I have them above Richards and Smith and Ellis and Harball, because they came out and performed at number 1, as well as their performance last season. I think they have this cool little contrasting style thing going on where Holland will run bags and Alex Rawls does his thing. I think it actually serves really well when you show up to a board. If the boards are playing really fast, then Alex Rawls is able to be successful, or Derek Holland's able to be successful. If they're playing really slow, then it kind of swaps back and forth. So I think that style kind of works really well. My number 5 was your number 6, Mark Richards and Tony Smith. They had a 3rd place finish at open number 1, losing to Holland and Rawls, and they lost to that young team, Forbes and Haddock. And then we saw them take that 6th place finish at Worlds, where we wanted to see them end up in the championship bracket. So a little bit of weird consistency kind of at the backside of the season. Obviously, they were the top doubles team tied with Ellis and Hart. So obviously really good. But like you said, it just seems a little inconsistent lately. So I put them at number 5. Your number 1, Trey Birchfield and Adam Hissner, was my number 6. Yes, they are the world champs, but look at open number 1. They came out and lost to Mason Trader and Cash Chamness, lost to Almanza and Wells. What's that all about? But I want to keep in the back of my mind, it's round limited format. Yes, it is a loss, but that's something that I'm going to take into consideration. And they just had a weird season. They finished 17th. The world champs finished 17th in doubles, came in hot out of the open season, had some weird finishes. I mean, some pretty poor finishes for them. So it's like, I just feel like it's this up and down kind of thing going on, but still a top 10 team in my opinion. We share number 7, Jeremiah Ellis and Devin Harbaugh. Ellis had a lot to say on social media, talking some shit about this one, not seeing himself in top 5. I get it. This guy wants to be in the top 5. He wants to be the best in the world. I get it. I love it. But, the big thing for me and all of the teams I've been talking about so far, and I think this is a big deal, Trey, Mish, when you go to a tournament, if you had to pull your second favorite bag out of your into a tournament, you're going to lose confidence. You're not throwing your favorite bag. You're not throwing the speed that you're used to. You're not getting the same cut movement that you're used to. And that's what's going on right now. Devin Harbaugh wants to throw those X's and Ellis wants to throw the R's, and those are going to play very differently. Now, can Jeremiah Ellis pick up an X and win a bracket? Yeah, he can. But we know when you're throwing your second favorite bag, it's going to cost you a point or two. And you're going up against this talent. That point or two could be the difference. Those guys need to get on the same page with bags. If Ellis can start throwing the X as good as he can as the R's, if I see Ellis throw an X through singles, that is a good sign for me that this doubles team could be a top 1 team. So that is the only reason I don't have those guys at top 1 or 2. And I think by the time the signature events roll around, I think they're going to figure that out. But for right now, we're talking power rankings, guys. This is if we put everyone in a tournament right now at this moment where Ellis and Harbaugh are throwing 2 different bags, I don't think that they're going to win that. Trey, we share number 8, Burton Jr. and Logan Chamberlain. We had that one the same. I was really on the fence with this team. It's kind of a little bit weird. They took losses at open number 1 that they shouldn't have. They took 17th in their bracket, losing to some no-names. And they never really beat anyone in that bracket. They did have that deep run at Worlds, which is kind of still in recent memory. I was really on the fence with them around here. I had Austin Reeves and Wasco also thinking about them, but ultimately I think they deserve a number 8 spot. They're still one of the best teams. I did also bring Jay Rubin and Ryan Trader in after their performance. They had a good performance in open number 1. Open number 2, I was like, all right, where are you guys at now when we go to 21? Are you just a shootout doubles team? But they had success in that classic format. And open number 1, really their loss to a Graham Trzynski. You get that when you consider that loss, and also why I had Graham Trzynski higher up the list. At open number 2, they end up really not going through anyone except Grindersleeve and Turpin, who I think can pretty tough. So I'm still kind of like 9-10 because they really didn't play anybody, in my opinion, at the last open. So I still think they have a lot to prove as we move along. And we share number 10, Cody Henderson and Ethan Walker. Cody was a lot of fun to watch at the last open. And that's kind of what I was worried about. I actually had some conversations with Ethan kind of coming into the season, talking and bouncing ideas off of each other. And the personality of Cody Henderson, not everybody can team up with a player like that. Adam Hissner was kind of a good fit. You cannot throw someone who's soft or sensitive emotionally into a doubles team with Cody Henderson. You have to be able to, whatever the distractions you're seeing on the other side, whatever just random things that you're seeing, you have to not let that affect your game, and you have to stay in it. And I was talking to Ethan Walker, and he's like, doesn't bother me at all. He actually likes what's going on the other side. And I think that was super important and why I think they can be a successful doubles team, Mish.
He still looked shocked at moments, I must say.
He's learning it. He's learning it as he goes. But once it sunk in, he was like, actually, I'm good with it. Didn't even bother me.
It definitely takes a special person. Ethan can do it, though. I definitely agree. He's got enough talent, and he's definitely not sensitive. So it should work out okay. Moving into buy or sell. First one, Ryan Trader and Cheyenne Bubenheim are the best male and female players in the world, Trey.
No, I'm going to sell it. I think Cheyenne gets to hold that title. I think there's going to be some pressure on her this year. Certainly, I think this will be the first year where I'm going to entertain the conversation that she's not going to be number one the entire year, right? Not ready to say it. I still think she's earned that title and she gets to keep that title. It's too early for me to put that all on Ryan Trader. I mean, he won an Open. He swept an Open. That's fantastic. I got him number 4 in my power rankings in doubles, right? I mean, he all the kudos in the world. He did just win one of the smaller Opens in the past 6 months. He did just win it on a technique change. And he's going into an Open where he's going to be tested, right? Trey Birchfield is the best player in the world right now. He's earned that. He's the world champion. I'm not taking that off of him unless I see a trend over the next month or two that tells me otherwise. Ryan Trader, he's close. He's doing very well. But I think Harbaugh has just as much claim, if not more claim, to have that title than Trader does right now. I am going to sell it.
Anthony?
Yeah, I got to sell as well. Bubenheim, easy, right? But when you get to the male side of this game, I literally couldn't say with same dominance as Cheyenne that this man is the best player in the world. I can't do it. Mad respect though for Ellis, what he did last season, coming in as a rookie, really standing behind. You're talking about a guy that backed up everything he said, came out as number one, in the world, said, I don't care about number one by itself. I'm going for MVP also. I'm going for rookie of the year also. He really backed up everything that he said. But even the talent that Ellis brings, I'm looking at these male rosters, like a Harbaugh, I think is trending up. Tony Smith, that's still there. And Alex Rawls, that's due for a first place finish. Gavin Cano, I think that could come through. I'm looking at all these people that could threaten that. It's not as obvious on the male side. So I'm going to sell.
Cody Henderson is must watch TV, or I guess another way of saying that, Cody Henderson's the Happy Gilmore of cornhole.
Sure, I'll buy it, but I texted him. This is a word for word message that I texted Cody Henderson this week. I said, "Great job this weekend, but if you kick another one of my banners, I will kick you in the side of the head." So his response was, "I'll be good." So I buy it. Yeah, I've been a fan of Cody for a very long time. I think he brings a lot of interesting energy, and he's always fun to watch. And for people who are just getting to know him, he's been this way for a very long time.
Anthony?
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, anybody who's an OG, if we go back to, I don't know, maybe 17, broadcast events, he was getting nutty. I remember him going chest to chest with someone in a match. I don't know if it was Trevor Brooks or Matt Guy. So anyways, he is nutty. And you're like, these guys are going to fight. But nah, it's just all part of the game, Mish, it's funny you said Happy Gilmore. What was that? What did you say on the broadcast or something? Or what was your Happy Gilmore reference to that?
Well, because he was about to punch and then he stopped and I was like,
yes.
Oh, this is like, here comes the putter throw. Oh,
the putter throw. That was it.
Is this a restrained Happy Gilmore? I mean, it was like the perfect moment for it. So I called that because it was just too perfect. Lots of things he does like Happy Gilmore, I will say.
I buy it's much watch TV, and you can see some of the media behind him. Most people that don't know Cody Henderson from the OG, they don't understand what's going on. In some cases, they're like thinking that he's like some special person that we're, talking bad about on the air. It's like, no. This is Cody Henderson. This is who he is. So I think this new generation of cornhole is getting a good dose of Cody Henderson right now.
Yeah, we did see some of that in Facebook. They're kind of talking about Wally and I. These commentators should be nicer. They're not.
Yes.
Like, trust me.
You don't know Cody, dude. You do not know
we're good.
Cody.
We're so good. Pros are not having trouble adjusting to the foul line change, Trey.
I buy it. It looked pretty fine to me. I was skeptical about this, I think maybe last year, but then over the past year or so, I've been one saying that people are going to adjust. Like everybody's worried about big shots not happening. I'm seeing some pretty good shots. I don't know about you guys. I mean, people make adjustments, and I think we'll just continue to see it with the sport. I think everybody was really, really worried and it's not been that big of a deal. So buy it.
Anthony?
Yeah, I agree. Ryan Trader's the best example. I think he had kind of the deepest, most exaggerated form of that. Alex Hicks also having to remain static kind of behind the line, but we got to look closely at a guy that's out there winning tournaments and being super successful. And that's Ryan Trader, showing that it didn't matter even at a championship level.
I was going to say three. We've had 4 open winners, 2 singles and 2 doubles. 3 out of those 4 were step over players last year. When you throw in Alan Rawls from open number 1, and Alan Rawls from open number 1 won the open without being able to do that. Looked pretty fine to me.
Good call.
Good point. Ethan Walker finishes as a top 5 pro in singles.
He's a top 5 talent, and he can be there, but I'll say sell just simply because he's still such a defensive player that there will be a tournament or a number of tournaments. I don't know what that number is this year, where the boards will be fast, and he is not a fast board player. And so because of that, his ranking will have a couple of bad finishes in there, but he'll win a couple events this year. It wouldn't surprise me if it's buy or sell. He wins 2 pro events across opens and signatures. I'd probably buy that. So it's more so just that he's going to have some too many downs to in order to drop out of that top 5, but certainly one of the most skilled players in the world.
Anthony?
Yeah, once again, Trey stole my position. That's exactly it. It's going to be all about speed. If we rolled into the season using the same boards and Walker was able to throw those same orange bags last year, I would say buy all day. I think he would be a top player. But we got the new boards. You got brand new surfaces on those. These guys are breaking in the 2025 bags. Still potential for a top 10, but when you go from 10 to 5, you need everything matters, and that board speed is going to come into play.
Cash Chamness at 8 years old is the greatest player ever under the age of 12.
He's been here for like 3 months, guys. Let's chill on the GOAT talk already. Everybody wants to crown everybody the greatest. Yeah, he's the greatest in the past 12 days that I've ever seen throw a cornhole bag. I ain't signing up for anything on that. Sell.
Just roasting the 8-year-old. Anthony?
The under the age of 12 does narrow it quite a bit. But I go back to watching an 11-year-old when I was a pro, when I was deep into this. And I actually watched this kid to model my own technique after, and that was Alex Hicks. I want to say he was 10 or 11 when I first started watching him. So to Trey's point, Cash has a little bit of ways to go, but wow, this kid is sure coming out of the gates early, showing massive talent at a young age. All
right, Trey, you got a hot take for us?
Yeah, I do. They just snuck into my top 10. We just talked about them being must-see TV. I'll go on a limb and say winners of open number 3, Cody Henderson and Ethan Walker.
Yo,
down the
winners.
Field. Winners of the event. So
okay.
I like what I'm seeing. I think the chemistry only continues to build. That was really the first time we got to see them play together. And I think it threw Walker for a loop, and they still did really, really well. I think now that they've had some time to adjust and get back to it, it's a harder field this time, but that's why they call it a hot take and not a lukewarm take. So I'll go Henderson and Walker.
Facts. Anthony?
Yeah, you threw my last hot take out of there because I had them winning a bracket last time. You're saying winning it. I love it. Yep. Okay, for my hot take, something a little different. I'm going to say Gary Bearpaw and Matt Guy throwing above a 10.25 and don't finish better than 7th.
Whoa.
In a bracket. 7th in a bracket, which means if you go across 2 brackets, they're barely top 14 or whatever.
Well, that's very interesting that you chose that, because mine is that Matt Guy will win a bracket, whether it's singles or doubles at open number 3.
Let's go. Let's talk some trash online. Let's
competing hot takes are so tasty. They're just so tasty.
He's been working on his mental game. I know you talk a lot about his mechanics or shot selection, Anthony, but I'm wondering how much of an impact the mental game will have on him. So we shall see.
He can win it. He can win it.
Yeah, for sure he can. All right, guys, that's all we got time for. Enjoy all the coverage coming up this weekend, and we'll see you all next time.